Alright, an update on Solana here. It's been a while. Can see it completely fell through all these zones, just like the other cryptocurrencies. Never was able to get in on a position here. Probably, I mean, this would have been a good one, to be honest. If I would have seen this, I would have jumped on it, because this was a perfect break of $24, which is what I had marked out here, and then retested. You know, super bearish momentum going into this zone. You can see it actually created a much lower low versus these ones, with a nice 4-hour bearish candle right below it, right through this zone, and then, you know, price is way below this 4-hour moving average, so you can see structure completely changing to the downside. And you know, I didn't expect it to move this much, obviously, but I did expect it to go down, and went down a lot. So now we have to reassess this, and I think we might have a bit of a long position coming up. Delete all these for now, clean all this up. This was the initial liquidity zone, and price completely pushed it down now, so we have to readjust it to here. So this is kind of what we're looking at now. Recently you had this bullish engulfing candle here after this one here and after these 3 major candles right into the zone. So we'll delete this as well. And then yeah, price is actually somewhat being supported by this moving average, so that's huge. It's technically bullish right now still, because it's above the moving average, but it's pretty struggling. You can see all this, you know, as of this zone you got lower lows, lower highs, so super bearish structure. So definitely not looking to buy this yet by any means, but I do think the zone is pretty significant. I do think that you could get a bit of a push back up. I don't know if it's a big push, but this is a 4-hour, so you can see a bunch of wicks. This is a liquidity area, so right around 23 bucks. You can see price might try to fill this gap between this zone and this zone, and then fill the gap between current prices and this moving average. As of right now, price is still way below the 1-hour moving average, so I definitely don't think there's any bullish momentum in this as of now, and I don't think there will be for at least a few days, possibly the rest of the month. I don't really know if this is going to move up, but if we look at I mean, that $23 zone is something to keep in mind, but since it broke this area even, I mean, it's going to have a tough time even coming above this area, this 2250 area. So I'm actually going to write that out here just so we can keep it in mind. So if price can't break this area, then I don't really have any desire to buy it. And reason being is because all the other cryptocurrencies are also going down, so they're just in a very bearish stage right now. And this was bullish once upon a time because it was above the moving average, and it did have this huge bullish movement. But you know, since mid-July, like, it just, you know, for the last month and a bit, it's just been straight down pretty much, with you know, lower lows, lower highs. So just a ton of bearish structure. So no intentions on buying this anytime soon. If price broke above this area, might start considering it. And then your liquidity zones, I mean, initially it was this big guy up here, and then it was this guy here. So more than likely, if price breaks this 2250 area, it's going to go higher, and it's going to find its new liquidity zone, which will most likely be below this one as well. So it'll be somewhere probably in here. And if you just take a quick fib of this segment of price here, you can see that the Fibonacci, the 50% and the 618 zone right here is most likely where price will kind of end up, which is above this area that it'll break, but way below this area here. If you extend this, you can see it actually aligns with all these other wicks here, which makes sense as this to be a kind of an area where price figures out what it wants to do. So it's more than likely going to head to this area now, and then as of this point, it'll decide, does it want to go higher and start retesting these higher liquidity areas, or does it want to just break below? So that's really what we have to wait for, because you have no idea as of right now. You don't know if this is still bearish and it's going to just start making lower lows. I mean, there's a chance that price pulls up to this area, this 50% area, and you think, oh yeah, it's bullish because it broke this zone here and it's above the moving average, blah blah, it's going to start testing new highs. And then no, that's literally just, this area is just gearing up for people to sell it off. So that could definitely happen. So you don't want to jump the gun on that. But I do think that if you're playing the liquidity game, zone versus zone, you're gonna have, you know, this zone's pretty significant here. You got this $21 mark. I'll actually put it in here. $21 mark. So I do think that it will go up before it goes further down, and I do think that it'll most likely head to about 23 bucks here. So at this like between 50% and 618 retracement of this segment, it never retraced since then. You can see this has just been 4 massive days down, and then you did have a little bit of bullish momentum. You know, like you got a bullish engulfing candle after it hit this liquidity zone. So you got this huge rejection here on this candle, and then it tried again, couldn't make a lower. So I do think it's going to push up through this 2250 zone into this zone. I'm actually going to delete this for now and adjust this because I'm actually shooting for 23 bucks. So no actual positions taken because it's not worth the risk right now, but this is what I'm thinking. And it'll probably take the rest of the month for price to come up to this area and figure out what it wants to do. It might come up here, and then I'm going to see if I can move this down. So it might take the rest of the month for price to come up, hit this area, and just kind of consolidate for a little bit, and then figure out what it wants to do. If it breaks this area, then I would consider a buy. If it breaks the area upwards, I would consider a buy. And then if it starts rejecting this area, then I'm most likely looking for a sell. And it would be into these lower zones here, and that would be kind of a next month trade, something like this. So this is your September marker. This is probably what we'd be looking for next month if everything kind of plays out that way. So that's what I'm looking at basically. I mean, if price comes down to 21 bucks again and starts rejecting, you could take a buy position. I wouldn't, just because there's still so much bearish momentum. It might change if price comes back down into this zone, this $21 marker, and flat lines, and then for a couple days just hangs out there, and then this 1 hour moving average catches up and swings below price. Like if price breaks above this moving average when it's down here, then I might consider a buy. But until then, no, there's just not enough bullish momentum for at all in this pair to consider buying at all. There's just like there's a potential that this actually just breaks the zone and keeps going. So there's no real support yet. You can see a little bit setting up, but there's no momentum there. So basically, in order to take a trade, and especially going, you know, switching directions, because we can see this is very bearish, you know, lower lows, lower highs. It is very bearish. For you to take a long position and buy this, I mean, you need significant change in trend and structure. So without that, it's not worth taking a trade. It's still bearish. I mean, you'd be better off just blindly selling this right now than you would be buying it. So that's my take on Solana. I'll keep you guys updated. We'll check back on this in a few days. I do like this currency pair, so this cryptocurrency, I guess it is. So I will check back in a few days, keep you guys updated if anything changes. And looking forward for price to come back up to 23 bucks and potentially shorting it again, you know, to this area or even further to this area, and setting up a nice monthly trade for the month of September. So that is Solana.